Welcome to the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast, the podcast for HVAC contractors who are ready to quit screwing around and begin growing their business. Powered by Rival Digital. On this show, you'll hear from industry leaders and become equipped with the tools and knowledge you need to build a world-class business. Now, here's your host, Eric Thomas.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to the show, everybody. My name is Eric Thomas. I am the host of the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast. We have got a very exciting episode lined up for us today. Before we get started, there's housekeeping items per usual. If you're listening to this show and you enjoy it at all and maybe find a little value out of it, it would mean the world to me if you would leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts. Please go ahead and do so. Like I always say,
for it up front. Just asking for it.
Hey, there's a drop off. I've noticed. I watched the statistics on the show. I've seen there's a drop off around the 15-minute mark, and then they sometimes listen again later on. So I got to get that pitch in there before the 15-minute mark.
Good to know. Good. We'll hang in there today. I'll save a little something for the 15-minute mark.
All right.
For the true fans.
Yeah. All right. That we'll plan on that. We got a really big show ahead of us. We're talking to the man himself, Mr. Paul Redman from Contractor Commerce. Some of you may know him from To The Point, from his podcast, and we're super excited to have a fellow podcaster on here with me. As always, we have another this or that segment towards the end, and I'll also be announcing another new segment. We're not doing it today, but we'll be doing it next week, called Whose Hat Is That? And I'll go ahead and tell you guys how it works. So whose hat is that?
Yeah,
we've been attending a lot of trade shows lately, and at these trade shows, you know, everybody brings all their cool swag, their koozies and their cups and their pins. I've noticed that I've accumulated probably 10 to 15 new hats, and they're just various brands. I've got this cool Schedule Engine Under Armour quarter zip I got. I've gotten koozies and shout out hats. So, well, how whose hat is that is going to work is I'll be wearing a hat. I'll be covering the logo up. And I'm going to describe what the company does without saying the company's name. And our guest will have to guess what kind of hat it is or what the company is. If they get it right, then they'll win a free Rival Digital hat with the leather.
Are we going to do this today?
No, we're planning on doing it next week. I don't have any hats, but we do have. And so we'll do whose hat is that until I run out. After whose hat is that, this will probably bleed into season 3. We'll be Hold My Beer, which will be koozies. So same concept, just with koozies. Super excited for that. And we're going to get things going here in a second. So our guest of honor today, as I mentioned earlier, Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm slightly offended, though. I just realized the name of your podcast would suggest to listeners that if this is the Smart HVAC podcast, that others might not be as smart. So I'm just a little offended, but I'm joking. You're doing a really good job with this. Nice and consistent. You're sticking with it. It's not easy. Just pinning down guests to join and be on time is hard. And I know that because we're now To The Point. We're just over, I think, 100 or some episodes that we've recorded, and only one person has ever not shown up.
Wow.
And I recognize that because I missed my first, not missed, but I had to cancel my first one with you. So I apologize. That person was Ishmael. Ishmael, you made it up to us, but we'll never forget the first and only ghost. So that would be a less than 1% miss rate, which is miraculous in the podcast world. So anyhow, I'm glad to be here. And a couple things housekeeping things I need to get out of the way. You generally like to keep this 30 minutes, right? Is that the goal?
We are flexible. 30 minutes is like the minimum, but I mean, we've gone over an hour before.
Okay. All right. I'm just keeping it open. I don't know if we can get everything into 30 minutes, but if we can't, we can come back and do it again, but I'll do my very best. So I'll let you take control of the show before I do so, because I have questions for you that I want to ask, but we can get to those later.
No, hey, anything goes here. So we'll go ahead and plan on it lasting longer than 30 minutes. So whatever you got, go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, no. So far that you've done this, what has been the biggest, I guess, takeaway or most exciting moment? What's been your peak moment here on the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast?
This is a very easy one to answer. I would say there's two kind of peak moments. The first one was when we hit 1,000 downloads consecutively or consistently for 3 consecutive months. That was a good one. Kind of felt good to kind of build it up to that point. I would say probably the proudest moment I've had as a host of the podcast is I had a listener who's also one of our clients. I'm sure he's listening to this now, so hope you're enjoying it. He reached out to me one time and was telling me that a piece of advice that he got from the podcast helped him generate an additional $100,000 worth of revenue this summer. It was just a small tidbit of one episode, helped him look into a few different options for some tools. And that was what it took to help him track down some of his unsold estimates. And so that made me feel good, made me feel warm and bubbly on the inside to know that me getting on here and rambling is helping people.
Good for you. That's what it's all about. I would say the highlight for me was probably about a year or so in. Our first guest was Ken Goodrich, and we joke around about it being the Ken Show because he's been on so many times now, but he does such a good job. And he walks in the room and he's 90 at the time, I think 90 pounds lighter than he was. And from that, some conversations led to kind of creating a group to bring awareness to the fact that the first thing we need to work on as business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever we are, whatever we're doing, marketing companies, that a community has kind of grown and flourished of people getting out and getting active. And so I'm getting to meet people all throughout the country who are, in some cases, a couple 100 pounds overweight, who are starting to move a little, walk a little, jog a little, ride a bike a little, lift some weights, and they're losing weight and their blood pressure is going down. And Scott Bergen, I think it's Bergen, I got to double check, had a heart episode, and his doctor attributed the fact that he's alive to the fact that he had started walking about 12 or 18 months prior. So that's been the highlight for me, which brings me to explaining my, prepubescent mustache that I'm trying to grow right now to bring awareness to men's health for the month of November. This is Men's Health. You know what? I shouldn't even have brought it up because I don't even think you can see it through the filter here, thankfully. And listeners, you don't want to see it, but I can see it. And I don't know how much longer I can last with it. But in this group, if you're on Facebook, reach out to the First Step with Ken Goodrich. This is where Ken and I are creating a community of people who are taking the first step toward their health and wellness. We have created a challenge for November where we are dedicated for 30 days to our fitness. We've described it as vigorous activity for 30 minutes. Vigorous is subjective. So that might be, going for a jog, might be working on the bike trainer, but 30 minutes, 30 days.
30 minutes for 30 days. Well, I'll have to check that one out. I know we're only about 5 days into the month, and you still have time. So go check it out. You still have time. That's right. There's still time for the mustache. I've heard of Movember before. I've seen a few colleagues in the past do it. It's a really cool organization, really cool challenge. So good for you. I might have to join you on that. I don't really have to do much. I just shave off the rest.
Yeah, I was going to say that's all you have to do. Just shave the bottom shelf, and you got the mustache. But I hope yours looks already better than mine. Yeah, I can't even see it on the screen, but trust me, it's there.
I was kind of joking because I feel like I got a very mustachy looking eyebrows. So if I had a mustache, it would just look like I've got a bunch of eyebrows on my face.
There we go. So, all right, listeners, any questions? We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Yep, we're almost done here. This is going great. Well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and cut the meat open and start digging in a little bit. Yeah. So, Paul, you are with Contractor Commerce, who has been on the show in the past, I believe episode 31, for those of you wanting to refreshen up after listening to this one. And that one I was joined with Will. Yeah. We talked about the big picture, the who, what, when, why, where, how type of stuff. And so today I'm hoping to dig in a little bit deeper into marketing and sales and how contractors can adapt to this whole idea of e-commerce, and then possibly learn a few smart strategies for marketing it and increasing sales on their website. So, Paul, take it away. Tell them what you do at Contractor Commerce, and possibly a quick refresher on what it is and how it works.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So Contractor Commerce is the tools and technology, the software company that's powering the online shopping experience for the home service industry, specifically HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Our roots are in HVAC. So our founder, Will Hausch, is a third generation contractor who, back in 2006, started tinkering around with trying to sell, air conditioning parts and different filters and things like that on the internet. And, really tested and learned a lot. This is right about the time when you could, just about buy only books on Amazon. And, started testing the idea that, people would rather shop online than in person or go to a store or whatever. And I think we all know that that's turned out to be quite true and quite true for what, appears to be the future. And, over the course of years, Will and his team became really experts in e-commerce for themselves, primarily around things like consumables like air filters and humidifier pads and those sort of things. And this at this hour, the core business that started off just shipping a couple filters is probably one of the leading online companies for things like air filters, direct to consumer. So what Contractor Commerce is, it's the technology that's been used to make this team, very strong in the e-commerce world. And this technology is now available to contractors to use to start to test and learn how e-commerce could help them grow their business. But for like a macro view of the industry and just consumers in general and buying behaviors and where things are going, I think everyone will agree that, in the future, people will probably buy more online than they buy now, right? And they're already buying a lot. And for some reason, well, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons, the HVAC industry in particular has always felt kind of exempt from that. And there have been some software companies in the past that have kind of popped up to try and test some different things about going direct to consumer or, enabling kind of, digital transactions or whatever that might be, that it's kind of falsely validated that, oh, this just doesn't apply to HVAC. But it would be really naive and honestly quite absurd to think that, the way that contractors go to market now and the way that we're doing things is going to be the way that we're going to be doing them in 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 years. So what Contractor Commerce is, it is a very tested and well thought out and developed set of technology that allows contractors to start testing e-commerce and learning. And we let them start with furnace filters, which we do all the fulfillment of course, which we can get into. But things like maintenance agreements and memberships and, for my plumbing guys out there, water heaters, garbage disposals, those sort of things that already have a general resale price. But it's interesting. I spent quite a bit of time in the marketing world and the OEM side, and we all know how important memberships are and tune-ups and all those sort of things that help you develop a relationship with a customer and find opportunities for what is the holy grail in the industry, HVAC equipment replacement. Well, it's so interesting. I find it interesting that there's 100,000 contractors, and almost none of them have the ability for you to actually buy a maintenance agreement on their website. It stuns me. So to give you a great example, I was late on my my maintenance last year, and I got a great postcard in the mail from the company who installed my system, and it had a QR code, and I was like, perfect. Followed the QR code, and it took me to a contact form, right? So I think that this industry, no offense to marketing companies, no offense to anybody, is, the idea of conversion is someone calling your office or someone filling out a contact form or maybe an email, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of converting with a credit card, no one's executing on. So that's what we're trying to help contractors do at a very minimum level is, let's start to give customers what they want, and they don't want to talk to people. So that's a piece of it. And then, to kind of zoom out even further, the idea that the way residential HVAC equipment will be purchased, is inviting 3 or 4 people into your home to get a price. The idea that would be, that would have a shelf life for the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, I mean, is again absurd. People want information. They want to get it online, and they want to have as minimal contact with people. And this isn't just a COVID thing. That accelerated it and kind of like really isolated the early adopters. But people don't want to go through that hassle, right? Mm-hmm. We can look at other industries like the car industry. So the challenge that gives, or that presents for, your customers and my customers and the entire industry, is people are going to go online to get information, but they're not getting enough information from contractors. Contractors' websites are jammed full of SEO content and jammed full of pages that really don't matter. And I don't mean, again, nothing against marketing companies. That's important stuff that you absolutely, hear me out, you have to have those sort of things, right?
Yeah.
But as a consumer, I'm not landing on cold nights in Gary, Indiana. Nothing's better than having so-and-so out to your house to fix it. Like that. That's not the content they're there for, right? That's for the search engine. What they want to know is, how much does it cost? What are my options? How do I compare those options, right? The challenge is, further, to get pricing online today, you're getting it from all sorts of different third parties who are not the authority in giving pricing. Unless you are the person who's driving your truck with your employees and backing it up into a driveway and opening up a crawl space door and crawling in backwards and dragging a piece of equipment in and out and installing this system safely, securely, and by code, you should not be giving price. You don't know how much it's going to cost. So what I worry about is, all of these tech companies and third-party companies and marketing companies that have nothing better to do but do those things that they're supposed to do are going to misinform consumers and put contractors in a tough position when it becomes normal to get HVAC pricing online, and it becomes normal to know, roughly how much something will cost before you invite someone into your home. So all that to say, what we've done with Contractor Commerce is we believe that contractors should be in charge of putting pricing online. And that's not a popular opinion. I will throw it out there in groups from time to time, and easily more than half of the people are like, you're an idiot. Why would I ever put my pricing online? I'll never be able to build value. I don't know if it's a tough installation. I don't know if there's access issues, and I get all of that, but customers don't care. So what we're trying to do is make it as easy and responsible and intelligent and clean and professional for contractors to say, I'm the authority on price. And so we've got hundreds of contractors that have, started this process, some with just filters, some with maintenance agreements and tune-ups and water heaters and all those sort of things, and some that are, actually selling fully installed HVAC systems. So I have rambled for so long, I don't even remember what the question is, but I'll pause for a moment to see if any questions come in or if you have anything. And is the Wi-Fi okay? I know it was cutting out there for a minute.
Yeah, I think it's actually my fault, to be honest. There's a lot of people outside of the office here they're out there making Instagram reels right now, so they might be hogging up all the internet. But
I miss those days. I'm all lonely in my house here. This is for those who are watching, I'm in my master bedroom. That is the giant pink mural behind me. Is not hand painted by me, but hey, I just work here. But this is the quietest spot in my house. The dog, kids. This is where I've got to be today.
Yeah, well, the painting looks lovely, and I'm sure if my wife watches this video later, she's going to agree. She's probably going to want one for our bedroom now.
Probably.
Yeah. So, wow, a lot of thoughts. So first off, with conversions, any marketer listening to this can probably agree that properly attributing revenue to campaigns and marketing efforts can be so difficult sometimes, especially when you run a Google ad, they land on your website, they book through, something like Schedule Engine, shout out, or a contact form or a phone call. And then they go into a CRM of some sort. And now you're like trying to track back and you're like, all right, we got a conversion. We got you a lead. But people care about where did this money come from? And with e-commerce, it's just like they get to your website, they purchase the item, and now you can see the money where it came from. And so I think tracking conversions on e-commerce I wish everything was that easy, honestly, because it's so much easier. So that's my thought on the conversion piece. I chuckled some when you're talking about the contact form from the
Oh
postcards.
yeah.
I've had this story. I might have shared this on the podcast before. We recently, last year, we noticed a few mice in our home. We live behind a big cornfield, and we noticed some mice this time of year, typically because they cut the corn and then it gets cold and the mice run straight to our house for some reason. Well, I went on to a pest control website and there was only a contact form or calling. I'm not a huge fan of calling, so went to the contact form, filled it out, told them my issues. Didn't hear anything back. There was no automated email or anything that came back to me. Well, then they emailed me the next day and they said, "Hey, you give us a call to schedule your service." And I was like, this is ass backwards. Like, they should have been calling me within seconds. So now they're like making me contact them so that I could give them my money. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Went to another website. They had a nice, easy booking option. They pick your time. It wasn't schedule engine. It was just something else. And I picked my time and my date. The guy called me immediately and was like, "Hey, we got you ready for tomorrow night. See you then." And I gave him my money that next day. So making it as easy as humanly possible for people to give you their money is the name of the game.
Yep. And it's not about what's best for the pest control company. Like, I think we all, I always say as contractors, because all my friends are contractors, but I'm not a contractor. I play one on TV. We always tend to clutch on to what protects us and what protects our margin and what protects our model. But at the end of the day, it's never about us. It wasn't about, like, when Uber was, I hate to reference Uber, it's kind of played out, but Uber didn't consult the taxi industry on what was best for them when they created a way for someone to push a button and get a car that picked them up and took them wherever they wanted, in a product that they've built on and built on and built on. And we all see what they've done with that. So I think that getting people to really think about things from the customer's perspective, those are the companies that are going to win, thinking about things from the customer's perspective, not their own perspective.
Yeah. I agree with you. Earlier, you were talking about adding pricing to your website. I've noticed that people really, like, all they care about is how much does this cost. And we were, we had the typical on our website, the typical contact us now, schedule your audit, or whatever other marketing agency jargon they've got out there. One day I changed it. I was like, let's change every call to action on our website to get pricing now. And we got 3 leads within an hour after changing it.
Right? Yeah. That's exactly it.
We didn't even put the prices on the website, but the call to action was get pricing. They went to the form. They said, I want pricing information.
Yep. And you just have to, find another way to tell your story. 1, through brand, 2, through the buying experience. Like, some of the things are table stakes, right? So, like, when you get to, people don't want to get pricing on HVAC because they want to go out to the house and they want to tell you their company story. You've got to be telling your company story 365 days a year through every piece of content, collateral, and asset you have, right? That's why Dan Antonelli's companies, I always call him, I need to say his brand more. That's why people who enlist Kick Charge,
there you go,
right, can attribute so much revenue growth over time. It's because they're able to tell that story in a meaningful manner. And they don't have to go into a home to say, we drug test our employees. That's table stakes. You're supposed to drug test your employees, right? And yes, that's a differentiator, but not at the cost of not being, completely as transparent as you can be with your customers. So here's my marketing insight from the sake of this conversation. No one is advertising upfront easy pricing. No one. And that's what customers want. How many times has a customer called a contact center or an office or whatever and said, I need a ballpark on a 3.5 ton. And then the typical response is like, here's why we don't do pricing over the phone. And here's right. So, like, that's what people are trained to do. They're trained to take that request, turn it around, and book an appointment, which is not a bad thing, right? It's not bad at all. But how long are we going to let customers ask for something without giving it to them? And so if you're a marketer, and I say marketer, if you're an HVAC company, you are a marketer or you're using a marketing agency, upfront pricing is relatively disruptive because it then sends a signal that, like, wait a minute, why do other companies not give upfront pricing? Why do these companies require to come into my home to evaluate how much this unit should cost? Now, I see both sides of this coin. I also look at all of the sales trainers and I'm not specifically talking about anyone in particular, because truth be told, I've not sat through an HVAC residential sales training in probably 8 or 10 years. Okay. Well, it's been 5 maybe. They can call it what they want, but they're using influence to get more revenue out of customers, which again isn't bad, but that's from the contractor's perspective. You can still get revenue from people by being honest and upfront, and here's what it is, and oh, by the way, here are the things you can add on, right? So it's just another way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think back. I'll go back 8 or 9 years. I remember sitting through some training where we were taught all these objections to handle when someone says like, "Oh, I need my wife. My wife needs to be home." I remember this sales trainer who a huge company, publicly held company, enlisted to bring in and train salespeople. He was teaching this method right here. He said, "Oh, you need your wife to, join you for this discussion. Let me ask you a question. Does your wife buy the groceries here?" "Yeah, she does." How much would you say she spends each month?" $1,000. Huh. So about $12,000 a year. Okay. Yeah. Does your wife make you be there when she spends $12,000 a year on groceries? Like, that's the kind of stuff that, even though like I say that, and like that's in jest to a degree, but a lot of modern sales tactics are a lot like that, like objection handling, right? So where I would rather think about like human connection, which is a different concept in overall. But anyhow, all that to say, back to my original point, upfront pricing, just advertise it. Advertise upfront, easy pricing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, I get, why you would want to go to the home and do a proper inspection of everything and be able to give them options, but you can still do that through a simple phone call. You can still give them the price, even if they ask for how much does that 3.5 ton unit cost or whatever it may be. Sure. And you can say, oh, that, the one you're asking for $6,500, but I don't know if that's the right option for you.
Yeah, exactly. Could be 5,500, could be 25,000. It depends on exactly what you need.
Yeah. And now what you're doing by that, and I think that right now we all know it's impossible to find people to come do work. And by you sending, your comfort advisors or whoever is handling, setting those appointments to these homes without, this person could be a totally bogus lead, and you're going to have the ability now to say, yeah, it's $6,500 fully installed for that, or it could be 8,500 or 12,000, like you were saying. They might just say, "Oh, that's too much," or "Oh, it gets the objection out of the way up front before you even send somebody into the home."
Yeah,
and it also gives you the ability to, like you were saying, if you're offering the price up front, now they're going to be like, "Well, why doesn't this company do that? Why did I have to schedule an appointment for 3 days from now?"
Exactly. And think about the pressure it takes off the salesperson when there's already some sort of reference to to price. So I want to back up a little bit and talk about this from more of a macro level. I read posts all the time or see message and the message boards that will talk about, someone will create a screenshot where a customer, a homeowner has said, "Hey, I can get this part on, Amazon or wherever, farmer tractor store or whatever for X amount of dollars. Why are you charging so much?" And I get that's frustrating and all of that. And usually the response is like, "This customer's so stupid. He doesn't know about overhead and he doesn't know about the training." And right, he doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But there's a day coming when it will be normal for a homeowner to be able to order equipment directly to their home. And we all know why that's a disaster. We all know why that's a nightmare. We all know why that's not good for the industry, right? But how about using that as an opportunity to really be able to bring value to what's been true the whole time anyway, in that the best place to buy residential HVAC equipment is from a local contractor who can install it, right? That's the truth, and that exists now. But there's going to be this wave of frustration coming to contractors over the next couple of years, mark my words, where they're going to feel like the number one issue that they're fighting against all of a sudden is, "Oh, so-and-so said they could," these customers keep saying they can get things online and they can ship it online and they can have it delivered. Like Wayfair is a great example, right? My father-in-law just had a hot tub delivered to his house improperly, incorrectly. He ended up having to call a crane to lift this thing over because, hey, you can just buy it off Wayfair, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that day is coming. Right now, it's not as prominent, but when legitimate manufacturers, legitimate distributors come up with a direct-to-consumer model, and they start offering that as a competitive advantage in a way to, make sure they're not losing ground in the market, it's going to be a real problem. But the contractor, using someone like Contractor Commerce or having their own e-commerce strategy, can take every one of those calls and say, yes, I understand you can buy that unit on Amazon and have it delivered to your house or buy it from wherever. We can also deliver it to your house, and it comes fully installed, and it comes right with a warranty and all these sort of things. So it's kind of like reshaping that narrative of letting customers feel like they've got transparency, which they will, and then being able to really add value around what it's like to buy a system from our website.
Yeah.
That's the key. Not let me send a comfort consultant out to your house to do a load calculation, which is still necessary. So just as a disclaimer here, for the customers of mine who are selling equipment online today, they're giving their customer either a monthly price or a fully installed price. They're using disclaimers to keep themselves safe. Some of them are not actually transacting on the site. They're just like, holding it there or scheduling the install. But we believe that the best way for it to work is if the supply chain stays the same. Contractors buy from their distributors or manufacturers the way they buy, and they go out to the house prior to an installation and do a site survey and verify that everything's what they said it was on the questionnaire and all of that, and then create that really good bond with the customer, get paid, do the job, get paid, whatever order they like to do it. So so I'm not suggesting we start shipping things directly from distributors right to homeowners. We think that contractors should own that piece still, but
what if the contractor could sell it from their website? We're getting right towards like the end of the plug where it's going to kind of bleed into my big question.
Yeah.
If a contractor could sell a capacitor from his website that he gets directly from the manufacturer versus going to a distributor or a wholesaler who got it from the manufacturer, because if inflation trickles down to the consumer,
sure,
that's why the consumer's saying, "Oh, this is so expensive." Well, they don't realize that the contractor goes to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler goes to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is stuck in the Pacific Ocean right now on a ship. And what if the consumer had the ability to go on there? This also requires education as to why or how or what they need. The average homeowner probably doesn't even know what a capacitor is. But what if they could, see the contractor could come out, diagnose the issue, say, all right, here it is on our website. You buy it here at our rate, which is cheaper than whatever, and then we'll install it. So you get our labor warranty and you get the warranty on the equipment.
That's great. Yeah. That's the way. That is a very, very possible and potential scenario that should be considered. Now, the challenge you have here is pricing, right? So how do you break out material versus? I still believe there's a landed cost to that that's more than just the material cost, right? So I think you still need some margin in there. But breaking those two things out is a great idea. We have customers who will sell a thermostat on their website, and right under that, they'll sell an installed thermostat, right? Two different things. One's 400 and one's 600. So absolutely. That is the way of the future. Customers are going to want to buy things online. And if you enable them to be able to buy it from you, they'll buy it from you and not someone else. And whether that someone else is a distributor or wholesaler or some sort of third-party marketplace, but they want that control. They want the information. They want to feel as if they're getting a great deal and a great value.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I guess, some of the current capabilities that homeowners have through a contractor utilizing Contractor Commerce.
Yeah.
So we know that they can drop ship filters and we can do maintenance agreements. So I guess what are some of the capabilities of the tool that could be attractive for a contractor to begin utilizing?
Yeah, good question. We'll start with filters. This is an area that we're fairly passionate about. People will come to us all the time, and they come to us because they want to get out of the filter business, right? They're like, we don't want to mess with it anymore. It's a loss leader, too many SKUs, too much damage. Filters are easily damaged. it's kind of a pain if you've got a specialty filter that you don't stock, that you've now got to go to a distributor get or buy online. It's a pain if you're a contractor. But when they come to us and we show them how to create an online store for filters on their own website, they realize they were never in the filter business, that they're about to get in the filter business, because we all know that a smart consumer who, particularly on the high-end filters, we're talking MERV 11, 13, MERV 16, right? They're not going through a contractor today. They're going to a marketplace like Amazon, or they're going somewhere else, but primarily Amazon. And if they buy it off Amazon, there's a very good chance they're buying it from us already. Mm-hmm. So what we're doing is we enable our entire inventory to be shown on a contractor's website. And it might be 300 to 500 different items, depending on how much they want to show, how much they don't. But we let them choose the retail price. So they go into the Contractor Commerce Command Center. They'll apply a markup across the board, and they'll land on that retail price, and then they'll sell them to their customers. The way we're seeing the most success with this is really there's an analog and a digital way. The analog way is service technicians, installers, CSRs, anyone involved with talking to a customer is telling the customer that for the first time, the homeowner can actually buy the filters directly from the contractor's website and set up, a subscription or auto renewal, auto shipment, whatever frequency they wish. And the contractor can pass along savings to them. So there's coupon codes that people are creating. So one of the best use cases is there's a contractor up in Hendersonville, North Carolina. So Champion Comfort Experts, shout out to Richie and Joy up there.
Yeah,
they created. Oh yeah, yep, awesome. So they created, it's no more than a one-page document like this that says Champion Comfort Experts. Here is a QR code that takes you to our filter shop. And then they have a little white box where the technician or the installer can write in the model or the measurement of the size filter they need. And they give that to the customer to order their filters from. So that's a very analog way, but a great way to kind of let customers know for the first time you can order your filters directly through us. Now, if you think about this, one of the challenges, if you've ever read or heard of data from the American Home Comfort Study, which is a study done every 2 years that kind of analyzes customer buying behaviors around HVAC, right? The most stunning thing that I've ever read in this study is what they're doing is they're interviewing people who've made a major HVAC purchase over the last 2 years. So it might be I forget what the threshold is. It might be over $1,500. So this is like a major repair or a new installation. And one of the more stunning insights from this research is, and I'm not going to guess the number, but it's something like 70 or 80% of people who've made a major HVAC purchase in 2 years cannot remember the name of the company who did the installation. I'm pausing there for dramatic effect. That's a huge deal. Most people, because you're making this decision once and twice in your life and you're making it under stress, and some of these contractors, no offense, do not create a remarkable buying experience where you feel connected with the brand. They're forgetting who did the installation. Now, if you had Champion Comfort Experts out to fix something in your house and they tell you that, hey, you no longer need to go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or worst case, the grocery store where people buy filters, okay?
I'm guilty of that.
You can buy a 12-pack of the cheap filters off our website. We'll make sure you have them every November 1st. Or, if it's higher end filters, maybe it's every 3 or 6 months or whatever. But getting a box delivered to you from Champion Comfort Experts every 3 months or every 6 months, do you think that if that homeowner fell into that survey with the American or with Decision Analyst who does that research, do you think they would have recalled the name of the company who they're engaged with? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's everyone knows these things, but the idea of selling consumables just doesn't really stick with contractors. So filters are a huge opportunity. It's a easy process on our end. It's a plugin that we put on your website. Your marketing agency will create a little shop icon. And there you go. You can go to rivaldigital.com and find your way there. You can sign up. They'll put a link on your website that says whatever you want it to say that will take you to a filter store. And what's cool is, my team, we have 2 offices, so Cincinnati, Ohio, and Salt Lake City, Utah, by design, so that we can get filters direct to consumer with 2-day ground shipping anywhere in the U.S. And when a customer goes through the checkout process, the key here is they stay on your website. They're not going to my website. If they were to navigate and find my website, they will be unimpressed and uninspired because it's not for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they'll stay on the contractor's website. My team does all the order confirmation emails on your behalf. So, hey, thank you for your order from Champion Comfort Experts. Here's your tracking number. Here's a delivery number. It's out for delivery. All those sort of things. We do all that for the contractor. And we do all the packaging, all the labeling, all the shipping. If there's an issue with returns, there's a one button. It's very, very low return rate as long as people are ordering the right things. And we've had a tremendous amount of success with it. People are starting to dabble in selling outside of their service area. So we have some clients who are building a national brand and they want to be the preferred, filter contractor or supplier for homeowners all over the country. So people are testing with Google Shopping ads and different things like that. It's just a big market that's overlooked. And we charge $50 a month for it. And people are making, plenty of margin. You set your own margin. So pretty exciting.
Let's say with this being so early, and it really doesn't, it doesn't cost a fortune to set it up. What have you got to lose to try it out at least?
Yeah, nothing. If I'm a contractor, honestly, the way the supply chain is, this will sound awful. I would have the filter shop on my website just to order filters from myself or from my employees. Outsource that piece of it. But tremendous opportunity for a lot of reasons with filters.
Yeah. That reminds me of something I actually learned at the ACA fall meetings down in New Orleans, which I actually just got back from. And I don't remember who was leading this breakout session, but our table got moved into the breakout room for, logistical reasons with the hotel. So, by default, I ended up getting to watch every breakout session, which was actually pretty cool. But there was a story of a company that they were trying to increase sales of, the iWave or some type of indoor air quality product that they were selling. So the contractor gave every single one of his technicians one to take home for themselves and to install in their own system, so that because the people who are going to be selling it are the ones, that probably aren't even using it. So right. To get them to take it home and realize, wow, my air is so much cleaner now. This is so much, my home just seems so much more comfortable. Now they're going to go to the consumer side instead of just being like, yeah, we also got these Remy Halos that we can give you. They're gonna be like, check this out. Here's I've used it and it's amazing. I love every part of it. So if you're a contractor listening, here's what you should do with it. Offer that as a benefit to your employees. As a benefit of working there, we'll either give you a discount on filters or we'll give you filters for free. The company will pay for it. Get the technician bought in on the concept of filters magically showing up once every 3 to 6 months or once a year or whatever it may be. And then they'll be going out and preaching that gospel to your customers. And now the customers are going to be like, oh, wow, this guy really believes in this ability.
Yeah. Or incentivize the employee to have people sign up for subscriptions and pay them every time there's a subscription created and renewed. So like in Contractor Commerce, for instance, we have the ability to track spiffs. So you could say $10 or 10% or whatever would go into this person's bank account anytime that, one of their customers orders a replenishment filter. And with subscriptions, it's great. It's like compounding interest. So you sign, gosh, this sounds like a pyramid scheme. You sign 50 customers up this year and you make this much. And so just a great opportunity to, get some unrealized revenue back into the business. Mm-hmm. And then also test to the concept of having an e-commerce division, just like a car dealership does, right? Mm-hmm. So when you find a price online with a car dealership, they don't send you to a salesperson to schedule an appointment to go in and sit down and talk about your transportation needs, right? You get a ton of information off of a marketplace like cars.com or off of a direct website like hendrickcars.com. And shout out to my friends over at Hendrick. You go through the internet department and they qualify the opportunity and they give you the information you need to up into a point where it's time to make the transaction. Then they hand you off. So that's kind of, zooming out again, is think about a different model for giving customers what they want. We're testing something with one of my partners in Florida where after hours, and weekends, we can potentially engage with customers through that shopping process to try to convert that into a warm opportunity for system replacement. So more to come around that as we continue to kind of evolve the product and give contractors what they want, which is back to kind of where we started here. They want system change out opportunities.
Yeah. And, and if you guys listening right now want some easy, here's an easy advertising campaign that you can do for this. And this one it's not even necessarily a lead generator. So maybe some of y'all might not be interested, but for the ones of you that understand the value of a brand, set up a retargeting campaign on Facebook. Anytime someone is on your shop page, retarget them with a blog post about the importance of changing your air filter or whatever it may be, some type of blog article that kind of adds value to the reason that they were on your shop page, which is either to get a maintenance agreement or for an estimate or for air filters. And you're staying in front of them that way. And it's super easy. Retargeting ads on Facebook are dirt cheap, and it'll help you sell more filters.
There you go.
Yeah. So maintenance agreements next up on the checklist here. Maintenance agreements are always interesting for me to try to generate ideas for marketing. So how does the maintenance agreement side of it work? And what are some of the success stories that you've heard so far?
So one of the main behaviors that's driving signups for new maintenance agreements is email campaigns. As simple as that. Same thing with filters, but really email campaigns to existing customers in your database or new customers if you can get them, letting them know that they can sign up for $14.99 a month or whatever it is directly through the website. One of the coolest stories we've heard is someone bought a maintenance agreement through one of our customers in Florida. And it was a customer that was a maintenance agreement customer from years ago that just kind of fell out of the rotation and never renewed. And they just out of the blue signed up again. So just having it on the site and giving someone the option to not have to call and go through that process is half the battle. The way we've set things up with Contractor Commerce is it's really easy to add your maintenance agreements. It's a copy and paste from your website or from a pamphlet or wherever you keep the information. You add the payment schedule, which our software calculates, and we handle everything directly on the website.
Wow. Well, that sounds simple enough, and it sounds like it would be. I mean,
it is.
It makes it so much easier. I don't know if we've already hit on this, but one of the big things that really perked my ears up the first time I heard about this is the auto pay for maintenance versus having a CSR or someone try to track down these customers to pay their either yearly or monthly maintenance agreement cost.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it from a customer's perspective. If you're getting an ad served to you via email or, through text or through however you're consuming and capturing, landing on some sort of ad about maintenance, the idea that the next step is to call or fill out a contact form is absurd. So let's keep it real simple, people. Like, give the customers what they want, and that's a way to buy something directly on the website.
Yeah. So how about estimates? I know that this is an objection that you probably get a lot. I heard it happen firsthand. I was walking around the showroom floor or the expo hall at Service World. I brought one of my clients with me, and I took him up to the booth because I was like, you got to meet these dudes. They're awesome. They're going to show you something cool. His first objection was about estimates on the website. So let's talk about that for a minute. What are some of the common things you hear, and what's the response to it?
The most common response is, well, I have no idea how much it's going to cost till I get out there, which may be true for some folks. But at the end of the day, like, how much variance is there? Like the 80-20 rule, 80% of your installations are probably coming right out of a price book. So as you look at, and our system allows you to do this, kind of see, the different sizes and the different ranges of features, and you look through, you have to be smart and strategic about how you price things, right? We have some people who price relatively lower end stuff only. They keep the other featured equipment off of the website and just, contact us for more information. We have some people who have a very low end system, a very high end system. And so there's nice range that says, okay, one system 6,500, one's 26,000. Like, probably have some more questions, right? So yeah, the first big objective or objection is is how I'm not going to know how much it costs, when it's just simply not true. There are situations, of course, that you've got to plan for where, and you do this through disclaimers, and you do this through the notes in the system where it's, hey, if we get out there and you say it's in a crawl space and it's actually a package unit on the roof, right? That's going to be a different application. If we find out that there's, all other, just different opportunities for, difficult job, that's something you've got to address as well. But what I'm finding is, and I heard this from Luho Baika, who's got really expensive premium pricing on his website, and he's a premium company. And he said he gets fewer complaints via reviews about pricing and how expensive they are because people know going into it. The other use case, and this is a Travis Ringy from ProSkill. This is his comment. He does not use us, but he has been doing this for years. He's kind of like one of the first. He has said that there are people who probably land on his website, look at his pricing, and they're scared away. They never do business with them. They never call them. They never buy anything. And his response to that is, so what? Because I'm so busy with the people who understand our value and understand what it costs to do business with us and have us take care of their home. So that's kind of the holy grail. You want to put yourself in that position where you're not worried about the opportunities that would not have been a fit anyway. And that goes back to the whole story of marketing, which is getting your brand right, getting your messaging right, getting your people right, getting your money right, like all those sort of things.
Yeah. Well, those customers too, that got scared away by price, and they probably went and hit up some dude under the shade tree to come do it. They'll end up calling that company back.
Sure. Yep.
You installed the system and it blew up or whatever, and now he's not going to have to pay either way. So yeah, we all know the real cost of that. Well, have I missed anything so far before we move on, or is there any other stuff we've missed?
I don't think so. I think we've covered filters and maintenance agreements and online pricing and estimates and all of that. I would just say to the listeners, really think big picture and think about a couple things. Think about, will more customers shop online in the future than they do now? And how will that potentially impact HVAC? And if and when it becomes a normal thing for customers to expect pricing and to be able to transact on and through your website, what's your plan? What's your plan? What resources do you have? And can you envision a world where your competitors are able to do business in a modern way and you can't? And if you can, that's fine. I say all this coming from the marketing world. The best marketing is still word of mouth, and the best possible scenario for pricing is still looking someone in the eyes, evaluating a situation, and giving them a price. But those aren't scalable things necessarily. So just think about where the world is going. Think about your role in that as a leader for your business, and think about who you want to be working with to help prepare you for that next phase of the industry.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks. Try that again. You heard it here first, folks.
Awesome.
You're going to want to get on with that. And if you don't, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where there's very few times, very few opportunities in life and in business to get on something while it's young. And then the people that don't end up, they end up 3 years later trying to get onto it, and everyone else has moved ahead. So It's something that you get ahead of it early while you can. If it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. But the least you can say is that you tried. And I think it'll work because I've seen it work for clients of ours, and I've heard it from other people as well. So check that out. We have another segment we're moving into called This or That.
Oh, that's right. Let's do it.
All right.
I don't know what to expect here, by the way.
We'll keep this one. So how This or That works is, obviously I'll ask you something. You tell me which one you like and why. We'll keep this one relatively marketing related, just because I always enjoy getting some of the marketing feedback on this one. So,
okay.
This or That, question number 1, calling to request service or requesting service directly online.
I mean, requesting service directly online, Alex, you know that.
Yeah. I feel like I unintentionally warmed this schedule engine.
You just warm me up. Schedule is great.
And why?
It's what customers want. It's what customers want.
Yeah.
They expect that when they push those buttons, that will trigger the automation required to execute. They don't need to talk to someone and get the reassurance.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
feel like, I feel like I still see so many people relying on saying, I want phone calls. I want phone calls.
Yeah. I'm better than not having anything at all, but and it's not necessarily an or situation. It's more of an and situation, but yes, give customers the ability to just do business with you in an easy way. And picking up the phone is not naturally that easy.
Yeah, we'll change the segment name to this and that.
There you go.
This and or that. All right, next one, lead generation or brand building.
I mean, it really depends on where you are in your journey. Some folks need revenue now. And so lead generation is critical, right? Mission critical. But brand is king.
Yeah.
So I'll go assuming with a startup, and I'll go with brand.
Yep. Don't build your house on rented land.
That's right. There you go, on AdWords.
There we go. Last one. I don't even have this one written down, but my first question kind of triggered this thought. When it comes to CTAs for booking, do you like book online or schedule service?
Oh, that's a really good question. I like schedule service.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Yeah.
I think book online is a good, it's good for complementing the call to action. But schedule service, I think, should be the button.
Yeah.
Almost always because I mean, that's like directly, this is what you're doing. And then you could have something above that by saying like, you can book online today by doing this action. And then there's the button, schedule service.
Yes.
So I agree with you. I think schedule service is the way to go. Cool. Well, we are right at 56 minutes and 48 seconds.
Did we set the record?
No, not quite. The record is 1 hour and 1 minute. So we've got approximately 3 minutes and 30 something seconds to kill. So let's take it away. Before we get going, we can do some, we can just either do some more housekeeping items, or we can let Tall Paul take the floor and tell us all the great things that he wants to tell us.
You know what? We'll wrap this one for the listeners, and I'll let you close it out. But I appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up with the podcast. I'm happy to come back at any time. This is good. It's interesting. The market and the industry consumes information in a different way than they used to. And so it's fun to see people, particularly new people in the industry, come in and start kind of, storytelling and building community. So congratulations and well done with this.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's been almost an hour since I said it. So I'll go ahead and say it again for all of you real ones that are still listening. Head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review if you enjoyed this episode. I know that 31.5% of all of our listeners are on Apple Podcasts. I checked this morning. So for all 31% of you, you are 100% of the population that I'm looking at right now. So leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Tell us that you liked it. Or if you didn't like it, please don't tell us that you didn't like it. Email me directly, podcast@rivaldigital.com. Tell me what you didn't like, and we'll make it better for you. We're all about just offering some free value for our listeners out there. And hopefully you learned a thing or two on this episode to help grow your business. So, Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a truly remarkable episode, and I think that our listeners are truly going to like it.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. And I'll see you again soon.
Yep. All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.